loves everything. And boy, Dave, we've had a week.
Ooh,
How you doing?
real good.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We left off or at some point we started the show last week talking a little bit about, these personalities that kind of have a tendency to hypnotize folks into liking them maybe more than they should. We talked about
Yeah.
the Tom Cruises, the Trumps. Well, we also talked about our friend Bill Maher, who I think became
Oh,
a
yeah.
victim of this week, don't you?
Yes, very much so.
All right,
Yeah.
so before we get into it, let's set the stage a little bit and remember how we got here, because it also brings up a point of, we may have our new leader who's stepped up to, lead the nation into some sanity.
Kind of friendly with them both, and I said, man, what if you could sit down and meet them and break bread? That's one thing I've found in life is, nothing gets solved and this country's so divided. I'm like, what if we could just have some laughs, talk about some things we agree on, and maybe just try to set an example for the reasonable people of this country that, it's okay to disagree on things, and, we can talk a little smack about each other, but at the end of the day, we're all on the same team. Let me say something to all you and be as clear and concise as possible.
I love it. Oh, perfect, Toby. I'm
A
so
hero has
glad.
arisen.
Fuck Bud Light and fuck Anheuser-Busch. Have a terrific day.
What a twit. I'm so happy you put it together that way, because that's exactly the flipping problem. You
Right.
get these idiots whip shit into a frenzy, whip everybody into a frenzy, and then they back off and go, no, hey, wait, slow down. Hey, can't we all be friends here? And the one thing they all do have in common is they're fucking people in the fucking spotlight that are just stirring the fucking pot and then
Right.
fucking reaping the benefit, reaping the financial and fucking, most importantly, the, attention economy fucking profit from all that fucking shit. We, again, Detroiters, man, we know this kid from fucking, the fucking early days.
Yeah.
And so easy to fucking step back and be all fucking magnanimous after the fucking fact, but man, that shit rings hollow as fuck.
Well, the big difference is the Kid Rock at the end of that video was before his guy was in office. So,
Absolutely.
like, if you're gonna come to the table and break bread, but only when only when it's his table.
Yes, absolutely. When we can, the self-serving nature of everybody in that fucking room. I mean, the fucking one snapshot of all them seated at the table.
So let's talk about it.
Like,
So the dinner happened. And Bill Maher broke it all down on his show, how it all went. And it was exactly like we were talking about last week. It's, Bill Maher has been extremely critical of Trump, and rightly so in most cases. And this time around is, giving him a chance or whatever. And just his reaction to the whole thing was embarrassing. He clearly got duped. And like just this idea of, okay, let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say everything happened exactly how it went down. Because I'm sure it did. I don't think he was out there lying about what happened.
No, people,
But
it's easy. I mean,
what
they're two
difference
fucking
does it
super
make
uber
how
rich
somebody
people that don't
acts?
give a fuck about nobody but themselves. So
Right.
it's
What
too
difference
easy
does
to
it
get
make
along
how
with
somebody
it.
acts in a closed door dinner among a bunch of other rich people? It
Yeah.
matters what you do in front of everybody and for
And what-
everybody.
And the biggest problem of what I have of what he did in front of everybody is then, like, after the fact, first of all, you're stopping touring because you're losing your audience, I think, drastically. So now you want to pivot to the fucking manosphere. So like it's so self-serving to have done this dinner anyway. Again, I'm sure there was some parts of the, hey, let's break bread. Let's, go. Again, all of what Kid Rock said actually made perfect sense if there was, the substance behind it. And again, whatever, that's amongst all them to decide within their own hearts and minds. The fact is, to then get up on your show and basically be needing a new audience. So then you do this just virtue signaling fucking book report, ridiculous bullshit. And then, you're tripping over yourself to fucking slap yourself on the fucking back. Bannon gives some pushback, which I actually enjoyed, like the Bannon side of that exchange. I have no appeal in that man whatsoever. But I thought he handled the better side of that conversation.
Other than, I will say, just to cut you off on Steve Bannon real quick, the only appeal there is at least he was completely upfront and honest, basically saying, yep, he's running for a third term and he's going to win, you got to respect the balls, but fuck that guy.
Well, at least the honesty in the sense of, like, even if you're going to, come at me. Like if you have a completely different idea of how things should be done and it's ridiculous, I'd still rather have you come and let's hash it out. Let's discuss it and see what the merits are. And maybe, that's how you do reach compromise, when people are a little more whatever. Again, I don't want to make anything overly positive about the guy because he has been self-serving through all of this Trump shenanigans of, the last 9 or 10 years. Having said that, so then anyway, the most important point that I just want to make real quick before it gets glanced over is the fucking I don't know really anything about Josh Rogan. That was his name was?
That poor bastard.
Good for fucking him though.
Yeah.
He just did some honest, hey, he wasn't even fucking implying you were doing that shit, you fucking thin-skinned little bitch. The fact is he was just saying, hey, kind of like we were saying, it's very easy in those circumstances, the charm, the appeal, the whatever. We're not saying you fell for it, but you can understand. Like, let's just put it out there. And then fucking, of course, anybody that disagrees on that show always gets the fucking backhand from him anyway. But then that fucking cat fucking at least he boom, took the tag.
Yeah.
Fucking sat in there and then fucking eased it, like, because you got a fucking propaganda sitting next to you in fucking Piers Morgan, and he fucking stood his fucking ground, made his points, and good for fucking him. He was the only fucking bit of truth on that fucking show that fucking night.
Yeah.
So good for fucking him.
And they just ganged up on him brutally. Like, to be... Piers Morgan is Piers Morgan. I would expect nothing less from him. So, but at least, with all his faults, at least Bill Maher, that's his show. And there's a certain, I don't know, decorum, like to team up with one guest and like just bash another one and like kind of straw man bash him too. Like he started like saying like, oh, you're not a very good talk show guest either. Like he off the topic, just clearly bruised and offended. His ego could not take that. That's truth.
A big part of where he has started to slip in my eye. Like, I'm not saying, again, Bill Maher, I tune in every week to the show because he gets the guests and he does, that combination of people in that forum and even in the initial interview, I like it. I like that content. But having said that, like, his monologues have gotten like a fucking joke. I don't want to just completely make it about bashing him, but it's been very like, I swear there's when he got his glasses, I don't know if he had like a late life instead of a midlife crisis, but like he's all of a sudden his suits are differently tailored. He's got this weird almost tick thing where he always puts his finger on his belt when he's doing the monologue and like stuff. Like he's just got this weird almost new self-consciousness to him that I've never seen before. So again, I don't know. He's not a young cat anymore. Whatever. I don't want to make it about him, but I just think, yes, even the worst people can be charming no matter what is in their heart and mind. So I think that was our original point to
totally back. And it's so crazy that he got like so butthurt, as the kids would say, about like, did he not expect to get any pushback on that?
No, of
Like,
course he
I
didn't.
felt like he didn't even see that coming. And how are you not? How are you not going to be Bill Maher going to have dinner with Donald Trump? You know you're going to come back and you're going to say things that are controversial, and that are probably
You get a book report
maybe
on it.
implausible to some of your viewers and that, and you get even a little bit of a pushback from your guest, and you just get all, bitchy
Oh,
about it.
it was ridiculous. It's the like I don't know if you've seen like in the last couple of days the whole like fucking dipshit sticking his face and stuff again. The actor, he's doing the stage. He's doing the theater run with as Morrow as the he did the movie and now he's doing the stage. What's his George Clooney? That
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. He's doing the good night and good luck on Broadway now.
So now he's like putting his fucking stupid mug out there again on like with politics, and he's a moron. I mean, I don't, just because through his father he may have been exposed to some people back in the day, like he really is kind of a. I mean, like most people in those type of positions, he's a very self-serving egotist. But like after those Sony emails came out, like to understand what just a neurotic like mess that dude is, like.
No, I don't remember anything about him.
Okay, like shut up about Joe Biden and Joe Biden again. Also another one that clapped off this fucking week. But like. To come back to where my point was going, much like what Bill Maher in my mind has been for a few years, and what has been where I see such a parallel in whether it's a Joe Biden, a Barack Obama, so many of these people on the quote unquote left, they are such just so self-aggrandizing, like egomaniacs that they just don't see them. Like, I think genuinely always sees himself as like just ahead of the curve and just, I saw this coming, I warned you. And well, yeah, you do a show every week and you throw 1,000 fucking things out just like a comedian does, and some shit hits, some shit doesn't. It doesn't make you a fucking sage. It certainly doesn't make you a fucking have great political acumen. I mean, he's a relatively read on history and things like that. So I mean, again, I don't think he's a bad fucking guy, but dude, you got the schmooze.
Oh, he totally got played. And even like the examples that he was citing of Trump being a lucid sane guy or whatever, they were like nothing. They weren't even, if his idea was to show us a little bit of Trump's humanity, it was a fail, because if he's saying the thing about like he was asked about dogs in the White House or whatever, he's like, oh no, it's because people like dogs,
right?
And then
right.
And Trump was like, oh yeah, I guess they do,
right?
What the fuck does that have to do with anything? Like, how is that getting us closer to bringing the guy from El Salvador back or anything that we actually fucking care about?
Well, absolutely, because you well, I'm glad that you say that.
Sorry to cut you off again. What I wanted from him was a story about him really pushing back in that dinner and really holding Donald Trump to task. Because the one thing I will say is, regardless of how I feel about Trump or Bill Maher or anybody, I'm glad that he went, because I think people should. If you get invited to dinner with the president, you fucking go, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially if you're somebody who could hold that person's feet to the fire for an hour.
Well, I'm a believer in it. The reverence is for the office, not for the man. So, like, I certainly believe that. But again, it goes back to, I mean, Donald Trump, other than, he basically faked, or not faked, he built buildings and he purchased things. I mean, whatever. So, like, he was a real estate mogul. But, like, for years, he has just been someone that has been either in or on the periphery of entertainment. And so like that is his whole fucking thing. Like, so you're all like, again, it's you, him, Kid Rock, Dana White. Like, I don't remember the fifth guy, but like, it's all people that are about the fucking, you know, like the Roman fucking circus, the fucking grand fucking distraction from everything that fucking matters so that you can get rich as fuck.
Right. And selling your soul along the way, because did you see like the videos of the cabinet meeting where everybody's just kissing his ass and like telling him, oh yeah, I think Jon Stewart was talking about it when he's like, are they being sarcastic?
Dude,
because they're just heaping this praise on him that's just absurd.
Stewart, this has been on fire, but particularly this Monday, he really nailed some stuff. I mean, this
I didn't see it yet.
Oh man, that kind of thing.
I mean, some clips probably.
Just the sycophantic, like you said, the ridiculous. I mean, now it's become this weekly show, whether it's in that one meeting room in the White House or if it's in the Oval Office. It's still just everybody gathered around to shake their head and tell them like how good, Daddy, how good I did this week. Daddy, I did this week, and you know, whatever. And I'm waiting for one time where somebody to slip and like have it written on their hand or like, you know, and almost like a thing where, because it's expected. And I think some of it's even like where he even like has it like where this is what you need to say in there. Yeah. Like, I mean, I think he is that kind of micromanager and that kind of like weird, you know, whatever. But anyway, to get not too far off the subject, I don't know what else you have this week, perhaps. But speaking of the cabinet, are we touching on Elon and the UFC thing at all?
Let's talk about it. What do you got?
So speaking like the president, his appeal, and like or the propaganda, you know, campaign that they're on with this, you know, basically, you know, he can't really. I mean, I don't think he chooses to do anything basically except for be in the White House or Washington and then going, you know, golfing. Basically, it's Florida or Washington, Florida. But the one thing he does like quite often is basically it seems like about once a weekend, except for when he's winning his golf championship. Then he's busy, you know, he's booked through that whole one.
Yeah.
But anyway, get to the point. He keeps showing up at these giant sporting events. So, you got a naturally patriotic crowd. Most people are kind of, you know, feeling good for whatever reason that particular time. It's very easy to get the hoots and the hollers and the whatever. Like, you know, whether it's golf or the Daytona 500 or whatever it is. But because he's so attached specifically to big time wrestling and then now the UFC through Dana White, he is you know, that's really his wheelhouse. So they show up. And what I wanted to touch on is I spoke with somebody last night and like, you know, you kind of explained to me a little bit more about the influence of like Barron or like, you know, maybe being the bridge to the manosphere, or you know, this whole new kind of like restructuring of how, you know, things are done. Well, excuse me. With that image kind of in the back of my mind, I mean, not only did when they arrived on Air Force One, Trump comes down the stairs first, and it was a longer, like continuous shot, and it reminded me that they, you know, it's very, you know, everything is staged, you know, everything is structured. So like when he's walking down the stairs, like you make sure not to come down faster than like where your feet will be in the shot or something like that, like until he gets off the stairs, you know. And Dana White's the next one down, he's fine, whatever. And the next one waiting to start walking, and he almost kind of starts walking by himself, is fucking Elon's fucking kid. I don't even remember. Is it X? Did he name? Is he that fucking?
X is the little one. Yeah.
Egomaniac. Yeah. Fuck Elon fucking Musk. What a fucking. I mean, I can't.
Oh yeah.
What a fucking piece of self-serving, self-important, neurotic ball of mess that fucking dude is. But anyway, having said all that, so the kid's like milling around at the top, and Musk is still back he's right by the doorway, but he's still like in like a step inside or whatever. And then the shot moves on. I don't know what actually happened, how they come down, what proceeds to happen after that. So then they go, but I say all that just to kind of preface the fact that you go then to the footage of the actual ringside UFC. Everybody arrives and everybody's coming in together. Like, first of all, like, I don't know. I mean, I would have to think there's got to be some sort of caretaker floating around to at least occasionally check on the kid and, whatever, like, whatever. I don't know exactly how it just makes no sense.
You'd think.
Right. So the image, once they're greeted and everything like that, and everybody settles in ringside, they're like right at the table is the president of the fucking United States ringside at a fucking UFC fight, first of all. Whatever. Okay. Next to him, the richest man in the fucking world. And next to him, his fucking kid, literally in the name of fucking X. Besides, again, we could do a fucking 3-hour show on the twisted fucked upness that is Elon and his, maniacal bid for world domination. Having said that, you see that, and this kid is not like, I mean, in a way, I mean, God bless him. He's like, his antics and shit are charming to me. Like, I don't
God
want
help him.
fucking
Is
shit
what I would
on
say.
him. Huh?
God help him is more like it.
I'm going to get to that. So I don't want to shit on the kid part. So anyway, so you see these three people lined up at the fucking table, and then they like pan out, and the further shot is then right behind them is a row brimming with our fucking present United States fucking cabinet, just fucking like leaned up, just trying to catch any kind of little something from the president of what he's saying, so that they can probably shout a whatever, a clap, and then tell him what a fucking genius he fucking is. So then, just to button the full comment up, so this is already just a disgusting, unsettling sight. But then I start thinking to myself, like, as much as people, and again, I don't know enough about Barron to like make a comment one way or the other. And I think somewhat like all people in the public eye, they are fairly, but very oftentimes unfairly, like, portrayed. So like, he could have just wanted to, like, I don't know what his motivations besides just like an attachment and a love for his father of trying to, facilitate his Trump's entrance into the, again, I'm over trivializing the manosphere comment. But anyway, well, if anybody should be fucking concerned about like a eventual like techno Damien fucking arising, it would be this fucking kid that is already has adult fucking power players in the United States of fucking America being in a very real way, at least by like, in I don't know, deference, but it doesn't look fucking good, people. Like, you are all but taking a fucking knee so much to Trump and Musk that by direct association, there is almost a subservience to a fucking child because of name or connection. And
that's a more legitimate concern, because we don't ever have to worry about President Elon Musk, but that kid was probably born here.
Absolutely.
So someday he might be a problem.
Absolutely. And being groomed for fucking world domination the whole way.
Yeah, and he's that kid, if either of those kids, if we're talking about X and Barron, I'm definitely more concerned about X, because he's actually like the one of Elon's kids that he's actually seems to be participating in his life. And Barron, by all accounts, was not raised at all by Donald Trump. So we've got that going for us with him.
Well, yeah, and Trump doesn't have, I don't think, and again, I all of these are, I can't know, but by outward actions and appearance, Trump there was some failure at some level in that parent-child connection, maybe, and then it obviously limits the next. We've seen it, exposed. Like there's, whatever. So like, as much as like I just see Trump's children more always as political props. I don't know how much he cares or doesn't care for them. I assume he cares for them, at least on some level, but there's always there just appears at least to be a means to an end, where I'm not saying that's not true of Musk and this kid. Again, I won't call him that name, but it is, it seems like he's actively grooming him for this role in, society or whatever. The heir, it's like the heir apparent, it's the one king that doesn't, trust his own, the scions to not fucking stab him in the back. And then it's the second king that's absolutely grooming his fucking progeny to fucking be the stabbers in the back, like, so it's, we're fucked either way.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's move on to a candidate for Dingbat of the Week.
I think it was a letter or a report that I heard this morning. I wish I could remember the source, but that there's a school system that's going to start making sure that first graders or even pre-Ks have A1 teaching, every year starting, that far down in the grades. And that's just that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. A second time. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I think she repeats.
Yeah, I cut it off. She does it again. Yeah, it wasn't like a little slip up.
Yeah,
This is a woman at the head of our education system right now who does not know what the fuck she's talking about.
Yes.
In a public forum. Like, she literally doesn't even understand the subject that she's talking about. That's fucking scary, dude.
Yes. You're local to the one from last time that actively tried to destroy the system, but at least she had been, had kept up airs or appearances over the years that she was at least attached to different educational programs, foundations, whatever.
Right.
What I'm saying?
Where
this time, it's, well, again, it's the... Trump loves a cutter. Trump loves a cutter. So, like, it's just the idea that the people that can, with a somewhat straight face, look at the world and say, yeah, no, I'm really not doing this to you presently, and then just turn around and use their business power and influence to fuck people over. Most of the time within their own organizations, but then certainly to enrich themselves and to gain more power. And, like, that's the common theme of all these fucking people. Like, some of them are like the one extreme of like the sycophantic ass kissing, give me your straps ones that we talked about earlier. And then there's this whole vein of these, like them and Witkoffs and these whatever that are just overly cocksure fucking fucks that don't know their ass from a fucking hole in the ground, but because they had a shit ton of fucking money, they're able to have people tell them how smart they are or how much their ideas are wonderful and they're whatever. Well, yeah, if you're going to give people fucking thousands, millions, whatever dollars to facilitate your ideas, they'll tell you how fucking smart and wonderful you are all fucking day long. And then you get to positions where, again, like for 20 years now, if you had any kind of money, your money made fucking money at levels that have never been seen in fucking history. So these people that were wealthy are now rich. And the difference in the two is wealth comes with a limit in the sense of your comfort can be boundless and your local influence can be such. But like when you're rich, like you have undue and unearned influence over a lot of fucking things. Yeah. And as money kind of got devalued and like they can spend at a lot, like, yeah, whatever. I mean, again, that's almost a discussion of rich getting richer, poor getting poorer. But like, these people just, just because you have money, you don't have intelligence, and you don't have the right to speak on things, or at least at one time in this world, you didn't have the right to speak on things. Now it's just that
Right.
because I'm wealthy, I believe myself to be so important that why the fuck wouldn't my ideas be great or whatever, or why wouldn't, whatever. And then I think in her case, I don't know much about her because again, I just avoid that name McMahon and that whole, like, I don't like any of, I avoid all that organization with the plague, but like the the self-confidence while being so ignorant is astounding. I mean, I wish I remember, there was a great quote, and I'll butcher it, but it's like, it basically is a progression from like intelligence to ignorance, but like the idea of, you can be wrong along the way and it doesn't make you ignorant. It's when you willfully know something is not right and you still just lean into it anyway. Right. That's kind of,
and that's been the thing that's been pissing me off this week. Every time they go up to talk about the deportee in El Salvador, because they keep saying, and I'm sorry, I'm not recalling his name right now, but you can tell they have these little catchphrases that they've rehearsed. So if it's Pam Bondi or, what's her face, the press secretary lady, they're all using the same words to try to keep it consistent. Yeah. So they were saying things like, a judge ruled him. I heard this phrase several times from different people. A judge ruled him a member of MS-13. A judge can't rule you a member of a gang. Like, they're saying that because two different judges like looked at that evidence or whatever. So they're saying it's just such a fucking grift
on that versus saying, like, because if they said they ruled he's a terrorist, that would be a distinct thing where they could say ruled on him being a terrorist.
No, they were very careful. They said they ruled him a judge ruled him a member of MS-13, which isn't even an actual like thing.
Okay.
But they apparently decided that sounded good because I heard it 3 or 4 times this week.
Yeah.
Dude, it's fucked. And like the whole scene where like there's like 6 people raising their hands when she's like, any more questions? Does anybody have any last questions? And like there's like 6 people raising their hands out there. One person speaks up and says, I have a question. And then she's like, no, okay. And then they leave.
Wow. Yeah, no, it's
like, what are we doing here? We're living in a fucking dystopian.
Well,
it happened very quickly.
And I put a lot of onus on John Roberts and his court because they have been having this repeated rulings that are creating a quote unquote ruling class that is not subject to the will of the will or the recourse of the people. I mean, the great part of the president of the United States is that he is actively our citizen, as he is. I mean, it's just ridiculous the differentiation that they've tried to put in place. But then what sickens me most is this fucking milquetoast little bastard that just tries to ride the fence until the last possible second, and then it's a 6-3 verdict. More times than not. I mean, again. Amy Coney Barrett's only been the pleasant surprise because I think that she's the only one that's genuinely a textualist, as I've heard it explained by like a paper I read years ago from Scalia and such. Like I don't necessarily agree with that, approach to jurisprudence, but like if you're going to say you're going to be away and then you walk the walk from talking the talk, I'll at least grant you that. But anyway, these other ones, I mean, the more that the conservative group rules in favor of the president's power and they insulate themselves. Then they create, like, again, the more important you think these people in power are or are treated, then they are an equal co-branch of government. So they have to be treated the same way. And, and they're steeped in some pretty dirty dealings that because they are only forced to self-regulate, which they don't choose to do, they're not held to any kind of genuine standard. And what fucking Roberts has been this fucking master of over the last, handful of fucking years is grant, like this latest judgment with this fucking guy is given some bullshit, like, if it's not clear enough, as the one people say, then he did a disservice there. If it is clear enough and he's actively going against, if the current administration is actively going against a court ruling, then they should be, I mean, they have power to, like, take the next steps for contempt,
right?
Whatever it is.
If Trump is getting by not following through on the court's order because it's too vague or ambiguous or whatever,
right?
Then you're right. It's the court's responsibility to go back and say, okay, well, let's clarify what we fucking meant. Get on a plane, go get him.
One or the other. And then what I want to get to is that that eliminates all of the fucking gray area right now in the present, but where I have no faith and where I think what he's doing again, what he's been doing several times in these recent judgments, is it's basically almost subterfuge where you just confuse the issue for a little while until it gets to the point where it actually has to be ruled on. And then it's a very, like, we know what ruling's coming. And then it's just one more granting of absolute power to one. I mean, there's I don't remember now. It's been years since I've seen the movie. I don't know how much they get into the details of it, but the one movie Vice with is it
Christian Bale?
Yeah, McKay though is the director.
Adam McKay,
yeah. I mean, I've just man, I love his films. Okay.
Oh yeah, he's great.
So just informative while being just entertaining, and that motherfucker was absolutely entertaining. But they really get to it where, there's the scene where they're in the situation room or whatever on 9/11, and they basically, I don't remember if the text comes across the screen or like they do one of those where he'll do the cut scene and kind of explain something or whatever. Yeah. But it's about the Unitarian executive theory, I think is the verbiage on that. I'd have to look it up specifically, but it's just the idea that that's what both sides have been moving towards and wanting for years. I mean, this is not something that the Dems can throw up their hands and go, oh, these evil motherfuckers. It's both sides have been investing all of this power into the presidency because it serves their purpose as far as being able to, have drastic changes. It quickens the pace of changes within the government, which is awful. I mean, it's kind of what we've seen now years later from the social medias or the different tech industry. The move fast and break things shit doesn't fucking work. And it hasn't worked for fucking years. But unity. So then basically, and then by putting all the power in the presidency, the Congress can then just be very much, oh, well, we don't really have, it's just all about running for the next, the next cycle of being reelected. Yeah. It doesn't have anything to do with governance. I mean, we need a fucking Henry Clay. We need a fucking somebody, I mean, a fucking, what's his face before he became president? Lyndon Johnson. Somebody that understands the importance and the power for the people of the Congress, not like a Mitch McConnell who was a self-serving fucking power-hungry bastard, and now because he's on his way out and probably not long for, God bless him, but whatever, now he can be all oh, well, hey, my vote won't count, so I can be all outspoken about this and not about that. I mean, fuck you. Fuck you and fuck you. You've sat up on the fucking floor of these fucking hallowed fucking buildings and gave your speech about these high fucking ideals and then voted or not voted in the case of the fucking impeachments. So fuck you. You don't got a fucking GD fucking thing to say, you decrepit old fuck. Yeah. Go away forever. Yeah. So yeah, there's not. I mean,
this midterm election is going to be giant because basically, if the Dems can take back the House, the next 2 years after that might have some kind of like semblance of, working backwards, like undoing some things. But if that doesn't happen, we're fucked, because they are not doing anything. The Republican Congress right now is just doing zero. Like they're literally letting the man break the law.
Oh, it's disgusting.
It's so fucked up.
It is.
There needs to be like either a Democrat,
we need a
that starts running for president right now, basically, and starts putting some things out there, or everything needs to be pushed into midterms, I guess, is probably the smarter effort, I guess, at this point.
Well, here's the problem is, the greatest change in this world, or in this country specifically, would come from a truly conscientious center Republican, like what Bush professed to be, or what in very much ways Obama was. Obama was he was just such a false representer of himself. That was the biggest problem with that guy. He really governed like a slightly left-leaning Republican. Very much like he was a centrist of centrists.
Yeah.
If that can ever be a good word, because again, if you try to be all things to all people, you're nothing to anyone, so that's whatever. But that's where I would like to see the change come. But having said that, there's nobody with a spine. Because nobody's within, like, if you're within shot of that dude or any of that wing of that power, you're going to get like a fucking Stephen Miller tirade. Fucking answer this question. Answer this fucking question.
Yeah, no. It can't, right. It's got to be. I think it's got to be. I think it's got to be the person you're describing, but a Democrat, unfortunately, this time around, because they're all falling in line. Nobody. And so I can't. It's hard to imagine somebody rising up from the Republican Party right now and challenging Trump.
You may very well be right, and I would love to be inspired to think that the Democratic Party could produce that. But what I would see, like where I actually recently had this conversation also. My great fear is what I've been seeing like happening again. It's the start of this slow train wreck. First of all, shut the fuck up, Joseph Robinette Biden. Don't you ever fucking put yourself out in the fucking. Don't speak on anything ever fucking again. You had chances to be a fucking moral man and do shit the right way. You didn't. You were a fucking.
Yeah, we do not need to hear from him anymore.
You basically.
I've got something for you on that later.
Okay, good. Because that man cannot be.
My one Caroline Leavitt thing I like.
That man cannot be lambasted enough. Donald Trump is an awful self-serving, coward of a man, but no one has grifted this country more than Biden, in my honest, true.
Oh, we certainly have him to blame for Trump being in office right now. There
100%.
There could have easily been, so if they had primaried and put up a candidate to face 100%. Trump, they could have beaten him.
Thank you.
Just not from the Biden administration.
Perfect segue, because the last thing I want to say on the whole, like, where the change could come from, what I've seen, again, besides the disgusting performative nature of things like Cory Booker or the one fucking Al Green and the fucking, shaking the fucking cane at the fucking, not just at the speech, which again, do something of substance, not performative like that. But then at like other speeches where, like, again, if it's a prop, then it is what it fucking is. If you're using it as an implement to help you along, keep that motherfucker down. You don't get to shake it at the fucking crowd. That shit fucking bothers the piss out of me. But anyway, my point being, there's all this performative, just hollow crap that's going on. Hakeem Jeffries and his fucking hand-talking ass hasn't fucking said shit in no time. And now my great fear is that they're going to coalesce into two equally inept camps, which are, you got your, like, and don't get me wrong, I don't think he's a bad dude. I don't think any of these people are necessarily bad fucking people per se, but like, you're going to get like some sort of combination of ticket of like a, Whitmer and Shapiro and, the guy in fucking Kentucky or whatever, that whole like the Joe Biden light fucking thing that's not going to ever fucking work. Or equally as ridiculous is this fucking AOC Bernie fucking power ticket that people are fantasizing about. Bernie, you had a chance to stand up to fucking Donald Trump in 2016 and you couldn't even stand up to Hillary Clinton. Shut your cowardice fucking self-serving millionaire ass up and go away for fucking ever. And AOC, the miracle that some almost equally as grifty and dirty as fucking Biden was the previous seat holder where in her district, and you're this fucking well-to-do, like upper middle fucking class, fucking, you want to rebel, you go off, you do the bartender thing, you get hip to like the whole social media thing early. You're like, that's the one thing I'll definitely grant her. And now that's what your whole like time as a representative has been this performative, like keeping up with the, social media output, but not really doing any kind of real governance. And now you're going to put on like the slacks and kind of like the slightly more, conservative blouse and let's talk some sense. Let's, fuck you.
People don't like to hear it. People don't like to hear it about her, but if she were a 200-pound white lady, nobody would listen to a fucking word she said.
Oh, she'd be a fucking Karen if she was a fucking 200-pound fucking white lady. But no, it's just, again, I just like to come back to that they're all the fucking same, just in different flavors. I mean, it's all about the fact that none of this is for anybody but themselves or those ones that are directly reap some benefit from their power and their station. So, like,
it'd be nice to feel like we're being governed by, like, and I don't want to like put this all on the current administration because every administration picks their boys. They assemble their dream team or whatever of their people, all of that. But to have people that actually feel qualified. I listened to this interview with Carney, Mark Carney, the current prime minister, acting prime minister, I guess you call him, of Canada.
I've heard a little bit, yes.
Dude, I'd put him in right now. I know about him a half-hour interview's worth, but this is an intelligent, lucid man. Was the head of the Bank of Canada, which is basically their Federal Reserve, and then became the first non-Brit to be head of that in Great Britain. I mean, this is an educated man who can speak about all these things. He speaks very, like even about the tariffs and stuff, he speaks calmly about that, measured. He doesn't get pissy about it, but he's also very firm about, look, we've got lots of other people that we can trade with and that kind of thing. He gets it. We need somebody like that. We need somebody that sounds like an educated person when they're talking instead of sounds like somebody that has a lot of money and got that job.
I saw an interview with him a couple of years ago, like to do with his experience in England with the financial world. So like I knew just very little, and I still haven't like I didn't know. I think there was a debate last night actually for their.
Oh, was there? Oh, with their, because they've got that conservative side that I think was looking like he was going to win, but maybe not so much now. It sounds like, but.
They were down. I think the Liberals were down to like 2% when it was like the face of the franchise was Trudeau, and now now it went like almost instantly to 20%, and now it's still going to be an uphill battle, but it's whatever. I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't know. Anyway, whatever.
He's smart. I really like him, but I'll tell you, and I only know I like a very small sample size, but I mean, my best friend lives in Canada, and I was visiting him a few weeks ago, and we talked, we always talk about what's going on over here and all of that, but they expressed something that was a little disheartening, but I totally get it. A lot of people over there are voting for this guy, this conservative guy. I can't remember what his name is, because it's Canada and I'm an American. We don't think that much about them. But that was a joke, Canada. But a lot of people that were considering voting for him just because, like, as a defense against Trump, they want somebody who they think is going to be able to relate and work with Trump better, even if it's against the way they normally would vote.
Slimy enough to get in bed with him where they don't get the back
which is very interesting that people are, will completely vote the other side. It's kind of what happened here when Trump first got in. A lot of people who probably always voted Democrat voted Trump probably both times because they were, disenfranchised or whatever.
Well,
all those
reasons
are.
It's funny because I guess the one thing I would say, but just to kind of comment on all that, is that's where the Carney thing that's what might work against him ultimately, is because the part of Trump that I totally relate to the appeal of, in the sense of, I just have always found him just disgusting since the first time I saw him on Lifestyles of the Rich and Fucking Famous. I just thought he was like a new money, gross, sleazy fucking con man. And,
history has proven you right on that.
Correct. But I'm, as much as Carney, again, sounds like a measured, reasoned, about the numbers type of guy, a lot of people that are the damaging part of globalists, they often go to that rhetoric, again, like we've talked about before with like the Facebook argument. I remember a couple of years ago, like the thing was, well, what do you do about it? Well, the thing to do was 15 years ago is to put in the governors on some of the stuff. So the parallel that I would bring forward to the current example, like you have, by doing the things we've done with the displacement of the worker, it's allowed for this. Trump touches on things that are accurate issues that then he doesn't have any desire to handle in an effective or fair way. So right. He
diagnoses things that fire up his base, but he doesn't have the medicine
and has
for it.
Nope, correct. Not only that, but then we'll even specifically, there's been multiple examples now where the NAFTA thing, for instance, I think of, where it's not working correctly, but it's working for what the globalists or whatever wanted, or the 40 years of precedent had been. Breaks it, puts it right back together almost the same exact way, so he can say it's him, USMCA or whatever it's called. But the dirty little underbelly of all that is, again, there's always been grifts on both sides. HW tried to, I think we talked about this before, but HW tried to pass NAFTA, and then Clinton got in and actually passed it. And it fucked the middle class. Absolutely. Because the left at that time, again, that was where the great shift to the right happened for the Democratic Party. But what they did is, when they went that way and betrayed all of their kind of the thought process previous in the financial arena, they then also started to just absolutely lean into identity politics and virtue signaling and so on and so forth. So then you get this where you can feel completely absolved of any guilt in the you're absolutely at fault for how the institutions are working and how it's screwing the poor, the middle class, and even some of the lower upper class, if you will. You know what I'm saying? The 10% truly is becoming the 3%, and then the 1% at that point. You have these great, the great unwashed masses beneath that. But then you can get go on TV every couple months and like be at some fundraiser for Hollywood and, you know, wag the dog or whatever, like type of thing, where you're just basically convincing the world, or specifically the United States, you're so concerned about their care. Like, I don't know if it's like Dostoevsky or Tolstoy or one of them, maybe Tolstoy, but there's something, and I'll paraphrase it, but it's a great thing about how like you are on a man's back, basically making him carry you around through this world, and you can tell him, and you spend all day basically telling him, or telling the world, more importantly, how you really care about his plight, and you really like want him to have a lesser load and be able to walk more freely. And all you simply have to fucking do is get off his fucking back, but you don't choose to fucking do that. And that's a great representation of the Democratic Party and why they absolutely ring false to a whole fucking generation of fucking people. I mean, again, it's Trump walked into easy fucking pickings. I mean, I'm almost surprised that Biden did win the second time, because like, besides the ridiculousness of Trump, the two most ridiculous people I can think of in the last 50 fucking years is Joseph fucking Robinette Biden and Hillary fucking Rodham Clinton. Give me a fucking break. That was going to be like, whatever, man. It's a joke. And I don't see any up and comer in the Dems bringing kind of,
no, I don't either,
voice and, you know, inspiration.
The only one I really like right now is Buttigieg, because he gets on there on Fox and mixes it up and stuff like that, and has good points. But you know, I don't think he'll be the guy. But
he is. The one thing I will grant him is he must have been the fucking captain of his debate team, because he does keep such a nice measured like he's very much like he is the Democrats version of JD Vance.
Yeah,
I mean, JD Vance gets ripped for all the different stuff, but like in sessions of like heated discussion, by, you know, using the, you know, my esteemed colleague, and then ripping their fucking ass, even if it's what he's saying is full of shit. Like, there's the techniques that guy displays are very impressive as well. But Buttigieg is on, like, he's actually probably surpassed Obama on certain levels of that technique. But having said that, he's even further right than fucking Obama was. Like, Buttigieg could very much run equally as a fucking Republican as a Democrat, but because he is a certain demographic, I mean, that would be outlandish to think that, you know what I mean? Like, so
well, that's the thing. I don't think
weird line where it's about the outward thing. I'm called this, but in all of my policies and my actions, I really am more in lockstep with these other guys. And so,
well, the reason I don't think that matters as much now, though, is I think there is a generation, you know, maybe a couple generations below us, you know, that they don't really invest as much in this whole Democrat-Republican thing. They vote the person. Like, I don't think that Trump got in because everybody I'm talking about the younger generation now. I see the face you're making. But I don't think Trump got in because a bunch of people said, you know what, I think I'm going to be a Republican now. He got in because a lot of people said, oh, I like this guy. He gives no fucks. That appeals to a lot of people. And I don't think that they care about what it says on their party, on their card, you know?
I mean, I wouldn't disagree about the fact that people don't self-identify with the party, because I mean, but part of that societally, it's cooler to be the independent anyway. Like, so some of that is a number.
But an independent won't win under any circumstances.
But
right
Trump
now, you know?
Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, I don't. I repeat your point about that. Because I
don't think people care. Like, if you get somebody that's moderate, if you get somebody that's in the middle,
correct,
I think that they have a chance regardless of what party they're in, because Trump was not a Republican his whole life, you know? I mean, he was a
Oh,
Democrat.
I know what I was going to say. Okay, yeah, I get what you're saying.
He decided to run as a Republican because he said 20 years ago, if I ever wanted to be president, I'd run as a Republican and I'd win because they believe anything.
Where you're right.
And that's exactly what he did.
You're half right and half, or I half agree with you and I half disagree with you. I agree that it's all about the attention economy. So therefore, if you're like Pete Buttigieg stands a chance because he's already a fucking name. It has nothing to do, like none of these people give a fuck about their policies. Not the people voting, but not the people fucking running either, except for, and this is where the one part I will disagree, is it's no longer about like when you attach yourself to a party now, because it's no longer like where the party, I mean, fuck, the last time Trump ran, they didn't even have a fucking party plank. They just basically said, whatever this motherfucker says, that's what we agree with. So because that kind of thing, like an adherence to a movement or guidelines or some sort of reverence for a take on how things should be governed is why you would once associate with a Republican or a Democratic party. Now, because it's just about who's in power at that fucking time, of course you don't as readily identify as one or the other. It's just who's in the fucking power. So again, that is true, and that's what makes it somewhat where anybody can run, like you're saying. But where I think that what has to at least be acknowledged, even if it's not able to be attributed to as a direct factor, is all of what, and we talked about this last week, all of what is discussed is how bad the other guy is, not what you are. So like, you're not even self-promoting your own fucking party. You're just saying how shitty the fucking other one is. So of course, then it even degrades more to like people, I'm sure if interview would be, and I'm sure a psychologist could word the question effectively, but you could certainly get someone to admit what they're against faster than what they're for. Because even more so than ever before, the people out there that you're voting for or getting behind aren't for anything but their own wealth and power. So like, you know what I'm saying? That's it's a skewed perspective of all that. Like the Democrat, again, both parties are right of where they started in our lifetimes. So right there, you're going to then have, I mean, the weird connection of who is what think of they called the Democrat or the Republican Party forever the grand old party, but then the catchphrase I used to hear years ago was all under the they were a big tent party. Well, yeah, because they figured out even before, like you could get the religious right and the fucking super corporate Wall Street types and whatever to all agree if basically they can pick a group to be the enemy and then reap power and prestige from that. And they mastered it, put a perfect system in place, tweaked it after the fucking Tea Party whatever thing, after Obama, and fucking Trump just the fucking, I don't know who originally got, but like the Cokes, I don't know who put in the fucking call, but they fucking the tracks had been fucking greased, and then they just sent that big fucking orange fucking machine down the fucking tracks.
I don't know. I think there is something to the fact that we're moving past like, and again, I'm talking about people younger than us because I see it. I see cult of personality being way more important than policy, than any of this stuff. Because if you look at like when people look at the so-called manosphere and like the impact that like the Joe Rogans and stuff had on this election, I promise you that is a factor because the previous election, Rogan was all about Bernie Sanders. Trump lost. And Trump lost young men. He didn't get that much of the vote. And then all of a sudden you get, all these Joe Rogans and these comedians that are starting to, skew right, and like they love Trump because he's fucking funny. He's hilarious. That works on stupid young
because
people.
it's the attention economy.
Yeah.
You got to just be.
And I think it's more important. I think for anybody 30 and under, that's going to influence them way more than any policy.
Oh, certainly. I mean, I wouldn't. Yeah.
And it's a bad sign, dude. That's not a good direction.
Well, again, it goes back to the thing that nobody has to stand for fucking anything anymore. I mean, that's why, like, the two-party system hasn't worked for decades, but like it is now to the point where they absolutely like if anybody had real stones, it would be the ranked choice voting. Because now, don't get me wrong, I'm no expert on
I like that. I'm in favor of that.
If there are flaws within it, I would be certainly willing to like entertain a discussion about that. But why I gravitate to at least saying that initially is then it is all about what that individual stands for. Because on an issue case by case basis, no one is being fucking held to account. No one is. I mean, everything is either lies and half-truths to show you how tough I am, or lies and half-truths to show you how fucking well-meaning and how sensitive I am. And none of these fucking people are worthy of either. So, like, let them get down to brass tacks. I'm going to do this, and fucking this. And that's why you should fucking vote for me. I mean, I think that one of the great disservices we did was, there was a big push. Oh, I think it was probably again in the 90s, when everybody, I mean, it was just money. But there was like that push for like no more earmarks on bills.
Yeah.
No more earmarks. Well, what happened is, yes, I'm sure there was a little, whatever they call it, pork belly politics or whatever. And there was a little, but you're basically, even at the end of the day, even if it's a company or a business that has given you a little bit on your campaign or has like been behind you, like supporting wise, and there's a little bit of that payola or that kickback because you get their project, whatever on there. I get it. I mean, people want to live in this Pollyanna fucking world where everything is absolutely perfect. And believe me, I live my life by as much as I can. Like I'll die on that hill oftentimes for a thought or a belief. So I get it. But why that system works is, again, they, that maybe, was a little smelly, but then that job, that company employed people or put money into the community. There was a synergy to that. Right. There was a synergy to that, and everybody kind of got a sniff. And there was a, in a very real way, that kept more of an accountability for those power brokers, not only the ones behind the scenes, but the elected ones as well. Well, now by taking any of those instruments away, you've also even allowed more so that each party to go into more their own corner and say, well, if I can't get any of this stuff done in the gray, which is how most of life is done, I can just sit back, take my ball and go home and say, it's the other ones that aren't letting it happen. And then it even goes more into the us versus them, or the it's their problem, not ours. And no one is held to account. I mean, there's a lot of the younger generation or I mean, shoot, even my generation that doesn't, it was in our grandparents' life where the, senators were still elected by the, by the Congresses in the states, so they were direct, like it was as we go more and more and more where it's all just about fucking elections, this is what you get, because you get these vacuous fucking talking heads that aren't about any more fucking substance than what they have either been given to spew or are the maybe very real and heartfelt personal things, but that doesn't mean they should be dealt with in governance. again, the great fucking dupe that we played on ourselves was convincing ourselves that businessmen would be good at governing. I mean,
oh, I know.
businessmen are good
Believe
at
me,
fucking
that's a
not at
big
fucking governance.
that's a big thing for me, and I will admit, like I used to be that guy. Back when I didn't know shit about shit, I used to be like even as a teenager watching like Ross Perot run for president. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Why not get somebody that's a businessman, get him in here to fix all this craziness? But you can't do that.
Right.
Nations are not businesses.
No, they are
they
not.
are, but they don't run the same way,
Right. Yes. I mean, yeah. It's sickening.
Yeah, that's why I initially liked the idea of Trump running, like way back in the day, until he started, speaking. And then you realize it's just an egomaniac who knows nothing.
And I'll be honest with you, even in 2016, the appeal at that time was that I thought the ego would be like he wouldn't let himself fail at things because he would hire all the right people, and he would like he would be ego driven to be so successful at that, holding that office, that it would be, the greatest, like all the hyperbolous bullshit he says now that's absolutely not fucking true. And that's, I mean, that's the great fucking disappointment. And then the second, I mean, that's the disappointment in him. And then the disappointment in the system is if someone was that self-serving and didn't even want to attempt to learn the fucking job, it should have coughed him up and spit him out. But like the two failed impeachments and everyone else, that's where it truly just became a shit show, and no one was out for anybody but their, camera time. And now that's how we.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of surprising with the, ego that he has. That's how I feel about like this whole thing with the tariffs right now. I'm surprised that, like, I'm not surprised like the 90-day pause. I totally saw the 90-day pause coming, and I would be surprised if it doesn't keep getting paused because his ego is only going to be able to take the economy tanking for so long. Because people are going to stop believing he's playing 4D chess and all of that bullshit. And it's going to, I think, eventually break down to him just doing very individual, either punitive or kickback kind of decisions on those things, nation by nation, industry by industry. It's already working with, like, Apple's not going to pay any fucking tariffs. You think... No way.
No, he has absolutely long since shown himself to be a paper tiger. I mean, these people are. I would be licking my chops if I was going in to like negotiate with this guy, because again, like I said, like his absolute standard MO. I mean, if he errs from what I'm about to say, he errs on the side of fucking it up. When it actually works, his quote unquote negotiation is to see something that's working, insinuate himself into the situation, figure out where the one weakness is, fuck it up to just put it right back in, and then call it his fix or his fucking,
Yeah.
They were begging me. Like, yeah, because you just went in and fucked it up. All along
that's his thing. I hurt you. I hurt you. I stop hurting you. Please say thank you.
And where the great grift comes in is that because all of our governing like whether it's Congress or the presidency or like I'm sure like all of them have a certain one of the most profound and true things I heard the other day was that, let me get this right, the law is designed to protect the powerful, but not hold them to account. And for the poor, it's to hold them to account, but not protect them. And I think that there is a certain, because like you can inside trade, because the information you receive within the Senate, like makes you like they can't prosecute you for that, or certain levels of that. Again, I don't want to misspeak, completely, because I'm sure there's some. It's not like the Supreme Court where basically it's like only, what they say about themselves is the only thing that really counts. I mean, I think there are certain standards. So, but my overall point is just the fact that at a minimum, besides like the other day when he makes the news and then the stock market skyrockets, and that very evening he says to a couple of the business owners and banks gathered that, oh, you guys made like $1 trillion today or whatever. Like, even if it's not true, like the using that as it's sick, disgusting, and the very thought of it should be abhorrent, even if it is false. Like So anyway, but having said all that, my final thought on the tariff, like the fucking up and rescinding it, whatever. Regardless of how it all shakes out eventually, the whole song and dance has started. Like where they've all got to come and bend the knee and do whatever. And again, I think most of them are going to play his ass, so whatever. But the benefit he's going to reap that no one will be privy to is all of these people are also business people or influential people in their own countries. So all of these people that are coming to do business, like the Italians with the Americans, it's also, her and her associates with Trump and his organization and his sons and his, Jared and fucking Ivanka. And like, it is all this, like the monies that they were made, like the money, like his first run, the amount of money foreign governments spent for rooms in this building or, hotel, like it should like the dark, like it's, until they're ready to fix that, like.
Oh yeah, I thought I heard some story about some foreign dignitary that like bought an apartment in one of his buildings, like for way over market price, and like it's just sat empty, never even moved in. It's just such a shell game.
There was a building, and I'm pretty confident of this. I don't know the exact details, but it was. I mean, I remember reading this, but like it was a building that had not long ago been purchased by the Trump organization, and then there was a Chinese-based company rented a whole floor for offices and then never used them.
Yeah, that's what it was.
They checked in on them and they were completely just empty. Like, and so like
so fucking shit.
I mean, yeah.
Well, I mean, and basically the Trump coin is essentially a Swiss bank account that anybody can just deposit money into anytime, to curry his favor. It's people, like so blatantly obvious that it feels like only a matter of time before people like step up and start questioning it. Like I'm talking about his supporters, but all I keep hearing is art of the deal.
Right. And all the people that could actually do something about it and prosecute it, that's who's being shit canned. I mean, they shit can the IRS so they can't see cheaters, and then they shit can the FBI so they can't then go and arrest the cheaters, and then they shit can the fucking judges and the fucking lawyers so they can't fucking prosecute that shit.
Yeah.
And then it is,
and he desperately wants to fire the fucking Federal Reserve chairman or
Powell.
whatever.
Yeah, who he hired, and again, he's just it's so transparent. It's so just a petulant child throwing fucking tantrums from day to day, and look at me, and it's a shame that. Yes, I mean, I guess I'm ultimately the most disgusted by the people that find appeal in that, but I just it's they have all come back seriously wanting, at a minimum. It's
all right. Well, let's wrap up with one more story. I'm going to do things a little different this week. I know that you don't get enough chance to spend time on the talk, so I put together a little supercut for you, and you can choose within these videos what story you'd like to close with today.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
Super connected to love. So connected to love. I think this experience has shown me you never know how much love is inside of you, like how much love you have to give, and how loved you are until the day you launch.
Oh my word.
My first reaction when seeing former President Biden was speaking tonight was I'm shocked that he is speaking at nighttime. I thought his bedtime was much earlier than his speech tonight.
Oh my God!
This is a bars up.
Oh
Really?
my God, she's hurting me!
Really? Really?
She pushed me! Oh my head!
Really?
Oh my God! Michael, get the police!
That's when it started
She's
gagging.
pushing me! She's pushing me! She's kicking me out!
Autism destroys families. And more importantly, it destroys our greatest resource, which are our children. These are children who should not be suffering like this. These are kids who, many of them were fully functional and regressed because of some environmental exposure into autism when they're 2 years old. And these are kids who will never pay taxes. They'll never hold a job. They'll never play baseball. They'll never write a poem. They'll never go out on a date. Many of them will never use a toilet unassisted.
God, there's so much there. There's so much there. I'm going to go ahead and go kind of backwards real quick with elimination. Obviously, like, Biden's shooting fish in a barrel. I mean, like, the past the bedtime, you know, I mean, my belief was always that, you know, it's, you know, we got 4 years of Weekend at Biden's with, you know, Jill with her hand up his ass, fucking puppeting him. You know, I said that, you know, 6 fucking years ago when he first came out of the.
Well, I just included that because I want to be fair and balanced. So I want to make sure, you know, I shit on her pretty heavily last week. So I want to make sure I highlight her when she actually, you know, does something kind of funny.
Yes. I mean, yes. Again, it's the smarminess of the delivery when she knows she's lying that I have the biggest problem with her. I mean, she's not bad at her fucking job. She's just a propagandist. And if she accepted that versus being a real, like, you know, conveyor of important topics to the public, it would be.
Oh, quite the contrary. She's actually excellent at her job because she's doing exactly.
Because she is a propagandist.
She is
well said.
Yeah.
So
to do.
The simultaneously, like, obscene, ridiculous, like, dangerous lies of that self-serving buffoon at the end. I'd love to go there too, but I don't know if the launch is shooting fish in a barrel, because there's so many things about that were ridiculous. So,
oh yeah, I mean, did you see this whole stunt staged opening of the capsule thing?
Well, no, I mean, because you know me, I just can't only tolerate a couple seconds. If it's too disgusting, I really just have to go. Like,
so
leave.
yeah, so like the speeches and stuff are bad enough, like the ridiculous Katy Perry nonsense, and then like the Gayle King getting so, like, they won't shut up about it. They keep going on and like complaining about all the backlash and being like, oh, would anybody say if it was men that they just took a ride or whatever? Or no, she even like said like Neil Armstrong or whatever. I'm like, no, those were actual fucking astronauts.
Are you fucking kidding me? You're going to compare yourself to that? I mean, like, fuck off. Like, the only even comparison I'll give you is like maybe William Shatner, and he was the fucking captain of the USS fucking Enterprise. So if you're gonna throw a bone to a civvy, like, that's the fucking dude. The fact that you lean so heavily into it's the girl fucking power thing, and one of the fucking women riding the rocket is the one that cheated on fucking that cheated with Jeff Bezos to now presently be his girlfriend or wife or whatever her fucking status is. But like, is that girl power? Like, let's have a big inclusive argument about all these fucking things that you're gonna lean into shit. But like, it's the little funny, ridiculous shit. Like, I did see a couple seconds of it, and I see where I think it's Katy Perry comes out first or near the beginning, and she, Bezos is right there to give her a hug. She kisses the ground, stands up, and he gives her a hug, whatever, and then she walks.
They were gone
out.
like 10 minutes.
Yeah, they went to like 62 miles high, which I think whatever. Again, I don't want to split hair, but like people argue about like the whatever. Again, that's a scientific argument to have. But anyway, the ridiculous presentation of all this. So then she goes on, and then the next person comes out, and I don't remember who it was. Somebody that maybe wasn't quite as famous, but like Jeff Bezos is just kind of standing there, like looking around, like, is she gonna come hug me or shake my? And he kind of, I think he almost somewhat offers his hand, but she walks off to see her people or whatever. And
good.
Then,
he had that fucking coming after the way he did Shatner.
Well, I don't know, but then at that point, I was like, I didn't like. Again, these people are fucking boobs. I mean, these people are not like.
So Bezos,
God, I just don't care.
What a fucking tool. So
I don't care for him.
Did you see, like, when Shatner went up, you mentioned that, did you see like the aftermath of that, like the footage of like right after they landed?
No, I don't think. Well, I saw him coming down to like a walkway.
So I'll recap it briefly. So Shatner was like deeply moved and affected by that experience. I've heard interviews with him since, and that was a powerful experience for him to see it from space. And he had like very human thoughts about it.
That's cool.
And there's a video of like, just like with these chicks, the capsule, like when they get off the capsule, and there's a video of Shatner and Bezos, and Shatner's like talking to him. He's trying to have like a human conversation with a guy, giving his immediate feedback of this thing that he just experienced.
Yeah.
And like the whole time, Bezos is like looking over, and he's distracted, and he's not really listening to Shatner. And you could tell he's like, and I mean, this guy is like Shatner. He's pretty.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He's Shatnering it up big time, but he's being very real. And Bezos is just like, hey, what's going on? And he's like distracted, and then he's like, give me one of those, and he grabs a champagne bottle and just like starts shaking it and does the whole woo. And like eventually Shatner's just like you can see him, like he's just crestfallen. He just gives up on the whole conversation. Yeah. So you're a piece of shit for that. Now this one, the grandstanding bullshit, there's footage of the capsule sitting there. You can see the door pop open from the inside. And then this lady, Blue Origin lady or whatever, rushes over real quick and like pulls it back closed. And then Bezos walks over with like the key or whatever, like that he's the one that's going to actually release it. And all this bullshit, and this is all like being streamed live and everything.
No.
It's so fucking humiliating.
Oh, I love it.
And that's right off the heels of him coming around the capsule and face planting. So he already embarrassed himself. And then they staged this whole thing. It's beautiful.
Oh, it couldn't have happened to a bigger douche. Yes. I mean, it was, again, these guys they destroyed industries and then bought off fucking illegally, I would say, their fucking competition along the way, and have become these giant fucking behemoths that they shouldn't have the power and influence they do. And then this guy, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's fucking killer. I mean, money wise, like, he's a shrewd motherfucker, but like the selling it when he, like, how he has stepped away now, and like that motherfucker has done nothing but for him fucking self. And I get so sick of this whole like trying to present an image that is so ridiculous. Like, these people are out for nothing. Now, don't get me wrong. the people around them that often tell the stories about what great people they are, well, fucking, of course. So, you know, it's like the cop that lives on your fucking block that like cooks the great steaks at the fucking summer barbecue and like has let you off a ticket once or twice. But then you also don't read his record that he's, you know, fucked a bunch of prostitutes and beat up, you know, beat people up. Like, you know, fuck you. Like, it's easy to be, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like,
well, and like for Bezos, I don't want to hear shit from him about like, because now there's, and there would have been no matter what, but big conspiracy theories about if that flight even happened and all of that. And I'm sure it did. Yeah, I don't have those conspiracy theories necessarily, but don't complain when people do, or when people question the whole Blue Origin thing, because if it's so important to you to stage the I'm the CEO, I'm going to go release the pressure and open the capsule. If you want to stage that moment and you get fucking busted on a live stream faking it, it's on you. I mean, you deal with it.
What a tool. I can't wait. I'm going to have to look up the clip of him falling on his fucking face.
Oh, it's great. It's great. And it's just, it blows my mind that, you know, in this day and age, when you know the cameras are on, they're always on. Why are people still trying to like fool us on things like that? Like that wouldn't have even added anything.
It's an absolute unforced error.
It's total ego.
Yes. 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 I had more. I had like when they got the capsule out of the ocean. And like the little tweaking they had to do to get it square before they could, you know, when the two astronauts from the space station came back, like that appeals to me. Like, show me the actual like science of, I mean, how they are bringing the boosters back down and shit like that. Like, I'll eat that shit up all day, every day. Yeah. But you're sending up a bunch of fucking famous fucking people to then bring them fucking right back down and then, you know, slap each other on the back about how fucking great you are for it. Like, you know, Oprah crying, you know,
well, and like make it all about like, oh, it's STEM and it's girl power and all that. How about how much money was fucking spent on that? How about build a school? How about build a STEM school or 7 or 8 for girls? Absolutely. You know, what are we doing?
Well, it's the idea of ultimately what you are doing is all fucking business. You want to be a leader in the civilian or the commercial, you know, space race, and you're using fucking propaganda, I mean, that's not even marketing at that point. You're leaning into this false fucking narrative where women are so fucking far behind and everything has to be about fucking race or gender or something like that. I mean, that's the kind of garbage that gives the little bit of fucking light for Trump and his weaselly fuckers to do the shit where they purge the DEI fucking initiatives and erase fucking the Enola Gay from fucking, I mean, the clown fucking show that is the current administration. Don't get me wrong. They've done it to a whole new fucking level. But what allows that little crack in the fucking armor to happen is the ridiculousness. Like, should women be respected as like all of the stuff that are the ultimate, you know, places we all want to be? I don't think anybody fucking agrees with. But so much, well, I mean, I can't say that. There's chauvinists, there's racists, there's whatever. But the great middling masses want to show respect and be respected. And the fact that everything has to be how I'm somehow better for what I am and you're worse, that's what fucks it all up. I mean, if people come to the party with a little fucking grace and with a, you know, for others specifically, and also maybe a little bit of, you know, understanding, you know, grace for themselves and that they're not perfect, but also like some standard or some, like, you know, hold yourself to, I mean, I know it's like such a overly catchy catchphrase, but like you know, be the change you want to make. And so therefore, like, don't make it about, you know, what's out there or how that's affecting. Like, some of it has to just be that come hell or high water, this is what I expect myself to do in this situation. And I'm not going to let the whim of the moment dictate how I react to this. And
yeah. And if you're for like STEM and feminism and all of that, how many female astronauts are there that could have been on that ship instead of Gail King and Katy Perry?
Amen.
Fucking Lauren Sanchez.
Yes. I mean, give me. Oh, fuck. Well, again,
but I mean, that's the least of our problems right now, because I just found out this week that autistic people will never be able to write a poem or play baseball
or use the toilet on the system
or go on a date.
Which you just brought up.
Apparently, RFK Jr. doesn't have Netflix or TikTok.
That guy.
All I've seen for the last 3 weeks are autistic people going on awesome dates.
Right, exactly.
And writing songs, by the way, RFK.
I mean,
it's just such an insult to...
It's such
it's an insult to all of us to have him in charge of that particular department.
Yes. It's a nonstop
just go out there and make blanket statements like that.
Jokers. I mean, oftentimes, I think what is the most... what was the phrase you used last week? Or maybe the week before, about the, proof we're in a simulation.
Right.
Like a overwhelming majority of these people, not just shouldn't be in the positions they are, not just are underqualified for those positions, but in many, many cases are literally the last fucking person on earth that should be in those positions. And that has to be by design. So, like, therefore, the very fact that you don't take governance at any greater level than how it appears outwardly, it just shows you how little you deserve the power and influence you have. I mean, I don't know, that's an old quote, but the idea of, like, those that seek power deserve it the least. Well, like, even with that being a known universal truth, it's just crazy. I mean, it's because you were a reservist and then were a talk show host, you are now the Secretary of fucking Defense. Are you fucking kidding me? I mean,
crazy.
That alone is such a overwhelming and don't get me wrong, like,
non-teachers running the education department, non-doctors running health and human services.
Absolutely, but
crazy.
But just to focus on this one example, because like what immediately goes from there is often just this, fuck that, and I'm as disgusted as anybody out there. But what the discussion or the reason, always it has to be this, like, when they were trying to come back to your earlier topic about like inspiration or faith that the Dems are going to pull it out of the fucking gutter. This is a great example of how they're not. Like, so you get this, when he's up for the fucking nomination. Now, don't get me wrong. Obviously, they threw the sacrificial lamb of that fucking pedophile piece of shit, Gates or whatever. So, so be it. But when he comes before Congress, I mean, first of all, it was a joke in that it was, like we've talked about several times, it was one guy would spend 15 minutes talk about how great he was and like making jokes about how many push-ups Trump does or different fucking ridiculous shit. Yeah. And then the next one, how this is the Antichrist and evil, the gates of hell will open up, like just ridiculous, both sides. But what they wanted to keep doing, and don't get me wrong, a man that would, I mean, I think being a drunkard, and I've certainly been drunk on more than one occasion, but being an active drunkard in your adult life, I don't think is very becoming. But having said that, it is what it is. And as disgusting as I find spousal or any kind of abuse, especially physical abuse, you know, those moral things, I think, in my estimation or my judgment system, would have left him, you know, unable to be, you know, put forth. But they did. They put him forth. And then, so I guess my thing is where the Dems could have made their hay was, don't make it be about like this moralistic thing. Like, your actions need to be what fucking speak for you. So like, where are your fucking qualifications? Like, what are you going to do with it? Like, you know, it's all the how you're a bad person, or because you're somehow associated with these other people, Trump or the whatever, then obviously you've got to be like hiding this or doing that. Like, where your way to address it is right out in plain fucking sight, and you didn't do it. It's like that stupid. I mean, she might be passed away now, so she is, you know, God rest her soul. But the dipshit senator that had the fucking Chinese spy working for her and was just absolutely like, I mean, she was like needed to be in fucking, you know, full-time care, not be a fucking active senator in the United States. But before she really went declined at the end during the Kavanaugh hearings, like I mean, that dude should not be a fucking current Supreme Court fucking justice. And the very fact that you didn't have the investigation done the correct way and didn't put forth certain things, like you wanted the spectacle of the woman from the, you know, the party, which I found her story very credible. And I think if it would have been investigated in a different way, it would have prevented him from being up there. But instead, you put it out there and you wanted to make it a sideshow like everything. You know, Kamala got to get in her couple licks, and fucking Amy Klobuchar, the most useless fucking senator on the fucking planet. Oh, my daddy did some drinking too. You know, and like tried to fucking commiserate with his fucking stupid ass. But it basically just greased the fucking wheels so then he could come back in fucking tears and go, those damn Clintons are undermining me and all the, you know, fuck them. And it fucking got Trump to lean in and fucking say, no, I'm not going to back down from this fucking guy. And of course, that fucking, you know, disgusting fucking Mitch McConnell absolutely got him fucking elected. I mean, the shenanigans that they fucking pull with a fucking straight face, I get how enraged you can fucking be, but the Dems just want it all to be about how, like, oh, it just doesn't feel right, or it's just, that's just such an awful thing, and you should feel the same way, and let's like pursue it that way. And no, if it was reasoned and fucking thought out, you could fucking take them down. But why you don't, the dirty little secret you don't want to admit, is because you touch some of those fucking things yourself. And if it ever got down to truly a methodical, reasoned approach, you're going to get swept up in that shit too. And that's the dirty little fucking secret.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see, you know, speaking of the grift, like if they go back and look at like last week, April 7th, and see how rich people got off of that.
They're protected from on high, though.
Maybe not, though. I mean, they are right now. The thing is, a lot of people have a lot of hubris right now, and they're playing pretty fast and loose because they're buying into Trump's going to be president forever. He's got my back, you know?
Oh, no, don't get me wrong. I mean, I remember in his first term, there was a congressman of some kind, a senator, a representative, that like the first week, he was up, I think, for maybe even a cabinet position or something like that. But he took some like some sort of funds that weren't to be used for a private jet, and he used them on a private jet, and he had to be shit canned. But that was back when the, you know, guardrails or the governor was on, or the guardrails were up.
Yeah.
Like now that's like no one is policing anyone. So like all bets are off, first of all. But like right. the grift of yeah. It's so much.
All right. Well, I don't think we can solve these problems this week, so we'll just have to wrap it up for now. But
Toby, eventually we could. I don't think they ever.
I mean, maybe it's time to start
problem.
a exploratory committee for Shaver 28.
I love it. Well, I think that we may need to just get out there and start bringing our message to the people.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're doing here. So everybody, thanks for watching, and follow us on TikTok at Dave Loves Everything. We'll have some additional content there, and we'll see you all next week.
Love
Anything
you, bro.
else, JVD?
Peace. Nope, just looking forward to 420, and
all right. Happy
we'll see you
420.
next week.
All right. Stay high.